So with that in mind, when it gets to minus 30 and minus 40 and stuff like that, obviously you want to plug in your block heater, and sometimes it's hard to check that. So you got any tips on that?
Yeah, it's even more critical now with a lot of the newer GM cars. They have a block heater cord that has a thermistor in it. You can't just go out there and plug it in like the old days and listen for the block heater to sizzle away.
Right.
The temperature needs to be, in most cases, in the minus 18 range before it'll kick in. And this is a GM thing where they like to, they're conserving energy. And some people find it an annoyance, but when we do our winterization, we do check your block heater cords for you.
So we really don't have to worry. Do you have to worry about putting your block heater, plugging it in before it's minus 18, or?
You know what? You're perfectly safe plugging it in if you anticipate that it's going to be that cold in the evening. It's not going to kick in until it actually reads that temperature on the thermistor. So you're safe to plug it in, and it's kind of peace of mind to just walk in your house and know that it's going to kick in.
Right.
When it gets that cold.
Right. Okay, great. With the snow and ice buildup and everything on the roads and stuff like that, I know a lot of people are thinking about winter tires right now and stuff like that. Why should we get winter tires? Is all season good enough? What's the right inflation? All that kind of stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Winter tires, and I'm kind of old school. I didn't used to think winter tires were important, but since I've done that myself, I've noticed such a huge difference in the way my vehicle handles. The composition of the rubber is different. It holds the road better. One of the things, of course, is proper inflation pressures. When we're dealing with winter conditions, and a lot of the people out there now have the tire pressure monitor systems on their vehicle.
Right.
They'll notice that the light may come on in the colder weather. And the general rule of thumb is, and if you're checking them yourself, is to increase the tire pressure by 1 psi per 10 degrees that the temperature drops. So, and we kind of do that anyhow when we're doing your winterization. We'll compensate a little bit in the winter time, and so that the frequency of the light coming on isn't quite as great.
Right. So if the light does come on, would you recommend coming in to getting it checked by a technician, or should you just inflate the tires by yourself, or what's your
in most cases, if you're comfortable doing your own tire checks and you have a gauge that's accurate, it's easy enough to just do that yourself if you can find a location where you can get air. But we do, if the frequency of the light coming on is quite a bit, then we would advise you bring it in. And a lot of that has to do with safety, first of all. You don't want to get stranded with the low tire.
Right. Now, if you are doing it yourself, is it pretty, does the light just automatically go away once you've done that, or do you have to read the manual to reset that, or how does that work?
If the light is coming on because of a low tire concern and you inflate it to the proper pressure, it should go out on its own as soon as you drive the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And if it doesn't, that's when you may have an issue with the sensor or another problem with the system.
Right. Okay. Checking regular winter rules for the pressure monitor, is that something?
Yeah, that's kind of what I just...
Same kind of thing?
Yeah, I just touched on that, and that is, as the temperature gets colder, the pressure of the tire usually goes down, and we find in the winter that we have more occurrences of the tire pressure light coming on.
Right.
So
is it better, I know there's kind of a rule of thumb out there to have less pressure on your tires during winter driving, so that it grips better. Is that something that you want to do, you don't want to do?
I would still advise that you, there's usually a tire placard on the door, and it has what the recommended pressure is at. I would agree that it may give you better traction, but with the tire pressure pressure monitor systems, they don't really allow for that, so
Oh.
I would still say the guideline is best to go with what the pressure is on the doors.
Right, and then making